you love me?
If you love me, you got to help me pass this bill.
Do y'all love me? I just want to be loved. My daddy didn't love me, and I've been mad ever since. Do you love me? I said, do you love me? Please, do you love me?
I love you back. That starts. But if you love me, you got to help me pass this bill. If you love me, you got to help me pass this bill.
Chris Matthews, do you love me?
You know, sometimes, Gene, he has that, he didn't have it right there, but a minute ago he had that great smile, that little boy's smile of his, which is so winning. And he, Mark noticed it too. He brings it out. I don't know whether it's technique.
It's the equivalent of the head waggle, the Reagan head waggle.
Oh,
I think it's charming.
He only seems to be able to do it when he's winning. I don't know if he can do it when he's losing.
Well, it's hard to do.
Chris Matthews, do you love me?
The feeling most people get when they hear a Barack Obama speech. I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
No, seriously, it's a dramatic event. He speaks about America in a way that has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the feeling we have about our country, and that is an objective assessment.
Mark Smith with the Associated Press, do you love me?
He cracks jokes as he signs executive orders.
You guys got a party room right there?
He wanders in unannounced to visit with reporters. He fiddles with the BlackBerry he wouldn't give up. He's even been seen in shirt sleeves in the Oval Office. George W. Bush famously enforced a coat and tie rule.
ABC's David Wright, do you love me?
If you've never been to an Obama rally before, a word of advice: go early. Think Springsteen concerts, but the tickets are free. First come, first serve.
CBS's Tracy Smith, do you love me?
We're talking about being cool. I mean, you're cool. But we're actually talking about how a lot of people think that President-elect Barack Obama is the epitome of cool. Look at that guy. Everything, I mean, even in a baseball cap.
CBS's Maggie Rodriguez, do you love me?
All right, everybody, give me a little pound. A simple fist bump between Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle, the night that he secured the Democratic nomination, is generating a lot of buzz.
CNN's TJ Holmes, do you love me?
Bottom line, every white president has had absolutely no swagger. Is that what you're saying?
No,
They're stuffy, uptight presidents.
Now, some would say that. Now, I'm not saying that, but when you look, I mean, people know this, and maybe it is kind of one of these things you're not supposed to say. But there is just, you can go from Billy D. Williams to Shaft to whoever you want to talk about. There's just a bit of a, like we said, a swagger sometimes.
That's what I want in my president, just a little bit of Billy D. Williams, throw in a pinch of Shaft, and maybe throw me some Rick James in if you could. MSNBC's Alex Witt, do you love me?
Mark Whitaker to talk about this speech. You know, Mark, I got to say, I got a few chills listening to him there. It was very powerful, but it was also pretty heavy on detail and direction.
NBC's John Harwood, do you love me?
But I got to tell you, Amy, as somebody who's covered Washington for a long time, this is one of the most ridiculous controversies I've ever seen. And so far as I can tell, the biggest danger to kids in this whole thing is that a lot of the parents complaining aren't smart enough to raise them very effectively. Because if you think that a president coming into your kid's school and saying work hard and stay in school is a danger to your kids, you got some problems.
People of Egypt, do you love me?
Barack Obama, he goes to Cairo, he gives a speech, and he inspires, perhaps he's the one who inspires a lot of these Egyptians to get out into the streets.
Don't forget, this began when the president gave his speech in Cairo at the beginning of his administration, calling for democracy.
Speaking of President Obama, you know, in a way, he fueled this uprising in Egypt. When he came to Cairo, let us remember, and he spoke of, listen, we stand for freedom and democracy and listening to people. The Egyptians believed his rhetoric.
Members of the media, do you love me?
He kept talking about winning the future, and that was always a big theme about Reagan. It's not left-right, it's the past versus the future. And perhaps most of all, the constant reiteration of optimism. We do big things. There isn't a person here who would trade places with anyone else on earth. I know we'll get there. That's almost like Martin Luther King.
It was a Jack Kennedy speech. It wasn't a Bobby speech. It wasn't divisive. It wasn't combative. It wasn't social democratic. It wasn't about class or generation. It was about the country and its capability of meeting historic challenges.
And in many ways, you felt this speech tonight was almost downright Reagan-esque. full of sunny optimism, very Reagan-esque, on and on about American exceptionalism in many, many instances, and full of Kennedy-esque encouragement to break a new frontier. That Sputnik moment was remarkable.
The president is asking for $450 billion. He brings black journalists to the White House and tells them, I need you to pump it up, which means, look, you're black and I'm black. You got to get this money for me. He tells the unions that we need to build more roads and bridges and the contracts will be unionized. He tells parents or mothers in poor inner city districts, even the ventilation in your kid's school is poor. I need money for jobs so we can improve the ventilation. He's asking for $450 billion for jobs and telling college kids still living off of our tax dollars and their parents that this should be passed if you love him. It's a common sense bill. Now remember, this is $450 billion. To put that into perspective, that's more than the annual revenues. He's going to spend all this in 1 year. That's more than the annual revenues of Wal-Mart, Nike, and eBay combined. He's asking you to give him more than the annual revenues of Walmart, Nike, and eBay combined. You know why? Because it's just good common sense.
This is one of the most common sense ideas out there.